The first scream echoed through the alien research hall, long before Elias collapsed. And the sound did not come from his mouth, but from the memory of it. Because even now, even as his body lay chained to a cold table beneath white lights, the station still replayed recordings of human suffering as proof of superiority. And Elias had learned that pain did not end when the wound closed. It only learned how to wait. He had once been a nobody even among his own people. A cargo technician from a forgotten human colony, thin, quiet, and easy to overlook. The kind of man commanders forgot to promote, and enemies forgot to fear. And when the war came, he was not given a rifle, but a manifest tablet, told to run supplies while braver men fought and died. And he did exactly that, until the day his ship was ambushed, torn open by alien fire, and left drifting while escape pods were counted, and his was declared expendable. He survived, not because he was strong, but because space itself refused to finish him. And when the alien patrol finally found him, frozen and half mad, they did not see a survivor. They saw a curiosity, a weak human body that should have failed but did not. And they dragged him into the Empire like salvage. By the time Elias woke under artificial skies, his left arm was gone, replaced by scar tissue and phantom pain, his spine reinforced with foreign metal that hummed whenever he resisted, and a control collar locked around his neck that marked him as property. Humans on the station avoided him, afraid association would bring punishment, and the aliens mocked him openly, calling him proof that humans were fragile creatures who survived only by accident. He cleaned corridors where nobles walked. He scrubbed blood from testing rooms where other humans screamed. He learned to keep his eyes down and his mouth shut, because hope was dangerous and questions were fatal. Yet even broken things remember what they were made for, and Elias remembered warmth, remembered crowded human homes where life continued despite hunger and fear, remembered his mother telling him that humans did not wait for perfect seasons to love, or create, or endure. That memory was what betrayed him. He spoke it once, softly, to a sick human woman in the service wing, telling her that humans did not stop living just because the universe tried to kill them, and that whisper spread like fire through dry air until it reached ears that could not tolerate such ideas. When alien Princess Serapha arrived, the station bent around her presence like metal under pressure, and she moved through the halls with effortless authority, gold eyes, cold, expression carved by a civilization that measured life as resource and law. She was young by imperial standards, but already ruthless, sent to inspect the breeding wing where the Empire controlled population with perfect precision. And when she heard that humans claimed they could reproduce without seasons, without limits, she laughed, because such chaos offended everything the Empire believed about order. She found Elias scrubbing the floor beneath a human display tank and demanded he look at her, and when he did, she saw not strength but defiance that refused to die, and that angered her more than any weapon. "You're lying," she said, when he confirmed the rumor. "No species can create life endlessly without collapse." Elias felt the collar tighten as guards leaned closer, but something inside him, already ruined, finally stopped caring. He told her that humans did not ask permission from biology or kings to survive. He told her that life did not follow imperial calendars. The room fell silent, and Serapha smiled, sharp and cruel, because she had found entertainment. "Prove it then," she said, her words heavy with mockery and challenge, knowing that whatever proof he offered would destroy him. Elias was taken that night, not to a cell, but to a laboratory designed to break truths into data. And there he was, strapped down while alien scientists prepared tests meant to expose human weakness, pumping his body with compounds that forced artificial reproductive cycles, stressing systems already damaged by war and neglect. Each test pushed him closer to death, and each failure was recorded as evidence that humans were liars. Worse than the pain was the presence of Captain Mara Jex, his former commander, now working with the Empire in exchange for mercy for other humans. standing behind the glass with guilt in her eyes and silence on her lips. Her betrayal cut deeper than any blade, because Elias had survived believing at least one human choice had mattered. As the experiments intensified, Elias understood the truth the Empire could not see, that humans were not strong because their bodies were perfect, but because they adapted violently, desperately, refusing to shut down, even when logic demanded it. The stabilizer in his spine, meant to control him, began to overload as his body rejected imposed limits, and the scientists panicked when his vitals spiked instead of failing. Pain blurred into heat, heat into clarity. And in that near-death state, Elias realized that the Empire's greatest mistake was trying to force humans into obedience instead of breaking them outright. Because pressure did not make humans submit, it made them change. When alarms screamed and systems faltered, Mara finally moved, smashing a control panel to stop the test, sacrificing her fragile protection to save the man she had once abandoned. And guards struck her down without hesitation. The sight of her bleeding on the floor snapped something final inside Elias. With strength born, not of muscle, but refusal, he tore against restraints designed for compliant subjects. Skin splitting, bones screaming, and when he ripped the collar from his neck, sparks flew and the leash inside him died. The room froze, because no one had ever removed Imperial control by will alone. Elias collapsed to his knees, blood pooling beneath him, but he forced himself to speak, telling Serapha that proof was not found in charts or cycles, but in choice, that humans created life, in war, in famine, in despair, because they refused to let extinction be neat or controlled. He told her endurance was not a gift, but a wound carried across generations, and that humans kept going not because it was easy, but because stopping meant surrendering everything they loved. The guards raised weapons, ready to end him, and for a moment Elias welcomed it, knowing he had at least spoken truth aloud. But Serapha hesitated, seeing something in him that her empire had never measured, and that hesitation saved his life. She ordered the tests stopped, the humans treated, the breeding wing stabilized, shocking her advisors and risking her own standing, because the lie she feared had proven real. And if humans could live without seasons, then the Empire's control over life itself was incomplete. Elias lost consciousness, believing he had failed, but when he awoke days later in a medical bay without a collar, and with Mara alive beside him, he understood that survival itself was sometimes victory. Serapha visited him once more, not as a predator, but as a ruler, forced to rethink the foundations of her power. And though she did not free him, she granted him movement, voice, and the smallest crack in an unbreakable system. Elias knew the war was not over, that humans were still hunted, still caged, still misunderstood, but as he looked out at the stars through clean glass, he felt something he had not felt since before the ambush, a quiet certainty that humanity's greatest strength had never been dominance or conquest, but the stubborn, dangerous hope that refused to die, the kind that survived betrayal, injury, and cruelty, and kept choosing life, even when the universe insisted it should not. And in that knowledge, Elias smiled, because no empire could ever truly control a species that would not stop living.